Hello everyone, this is Pete. Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I will guide you through setting up OpenMediaVault on your Proxmox host. Let's begin. We will be setting up OpenMediaVault as a virtual machine on Proxmox. So, first things first, we need to download the ISO image. I'll leave the link down below in the video description. Make sure to check it out. Alright, now that the ISO file is downloaded, we can start creating our VM. Let's head over to the Proxmox web UI and upload the ISO file to the host. On the left navigation pane, select Local. Then, go to ISO Images, click Upload, and browse to your file location to start uploading. Okay, the upload is done. Now, let's click the Create VM button to start creating our new virtual machine. Let's call it OMV. Remember to check Start at Boot, then click Next. Select the ISO image we just uploaded, then Next again. On the System tab, make sure to check QEMU Agent. This allows Proxmox to read the VM's IP address, CPU, and RAM usage, which is quite useful. Next, let's create a disk for our root system. 32 GB is enough. Moving on to the CPU, select the number of cores you want. For the type, set it to host. That will be the most compatible option. Then click Next. For memory, 2 GB of RAM is enough. You can enable the ballooning device. This allows Proxmox to reclaim RAM that isn't being used and allocate it to other VMs or containers. Click Next. Here, we'll assign the network interface for our VM. Make sure to select your LAN interface, otherwise you won't be able to access the web UI later. Okay, we're done with the configuration. I'm going to disable the firewall here, simply because I already have OPNsense installed on my network. Now, let's start the VM. Click on Start, and then open the console to begin the installation. Let's head to the console and select Install. Next, choose your language, keyboard layout, hostname, and domain name. I'm going to leave these as default for now. Finally, set your root password and choose your time zone. Okay, the installation is done. Now, we just need to wait for the VM to boot up. Once it's ready, you'll see the IP address for the web UI right here on the screen. Make sure to note that down. Now, let's access the web UI. Just enter the IP address you noted down earlier. The default username is admin, and the password is OpenMediaVault in lowercase. First, I'm going to customize the dashboard a little bit, so it shows us more useful information right from the start. Feel free to switch to dark mode if you prefer. Next, we need to update the system. This ensures you have the latest patches to fix any security flaws. Go to System, select Update Management, and then Updates. Finally, simply click the Install button to start updating. And please, remember to change the password immediately. You should never, ever use default passwords on your systems, whether it's on a local network or the internet. Okay, now let's set a static IP address for your NAS. You definitely don't want your NAS changing its IP address every few days. Let's head to Network, then Interfaces. Select your interface and click Edit. Make sure the IP address is on the same subnet as your local network, and don't forget to fill in the default gateway. Otherwise, your NAS won't be able to reach the internet. And a quick reminder, remember to click Apply each time you change the settings. Now that the NS IP address has changed, we need to access the web UI using the new IP. Alright, now for the most important part, setting up your storage. Let's click on Storage. The main things we need to focus on here are disks, file systems, and shared folders. Click on Disks. In my case, you can see 2 disks. The first one, with 32 gigabytes, is where our system is installed. The second one, about 1.15 gigabytes, is just the ISO image. You can remove that later. However, we're not going to save our data on either of these, so let's head back to Proxmox to create a brand new disk specifically for our data. Select your VM, click on Hardware, then hit Add and choose Hard Disk. Select Local LVM as the storage and set the size for your disk. Now go back to the OpenMediaVault web UI, reload the page, and you'll see the new disk show up right there. Next, go to File Systems. Here, we'll create a new file system for our disk. If you have multiple disks and want to use RAID, select BTRFS. Otherwise, ext4 is perfectly fine. Select your disk here, hit Save, wait a few seconds, and done. Now, we need to mount the new file system. Select the one you just created, adjust the warning threshold if you like, and click Save. Make sure to apply the changes after you're done. Now, let's create a shared folder. Click on Shared Folders, select the file system we just created, give it a name, and set the permissions. For simplicity, I'll set it to public so everyone can read and write, but you should adjust this depending on your own setup. Apply the changes, and done. Now, depending on how you want to access the shared folder, you need to enable the corresponding service. Since I'm using Windows, I'm going to enable SMB. Let's head to Services, select SMB, and then go to Settings. Enable the service, adjust any settings depending on your needs, and hit Save. Now, for the last step, go to the Shares tab and add the shared folder we created earlier. Remember to set it to public so we can access it easily. Apply the changes, and now, let's test it out. Open File Explorer and enter the NAS IP address. Don't forget the double backslash at the beginning. Okay, we're in. Now, let's test the write permission. Perfect. I'm going to try copying some files over to see how it goes. Pretty good, huh? All right, so I've shown you how to set up OpenMediaVault as your NAS system. I hope you learned something new today. If you have any questions, just leave a comment below and I'll reply as soon as I can. And don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate your support. Thank you, and see you later.